Right, good evening, students. My name is Bronwyn Wright. I'm the Regional Academic Coordinator for the Western Cape Region Tuition Support or Tutorial Support. And welcome to your first class for ECS1601. We were really lucky to get this module on board this semester because we know it is a bit of a challenging module. I would like to welcome Mr. Gershon Oliver. He will be your tutor for this module for ECS1601. A lot of you are familiar with Gershon. He is also our face-to-face campus tutorial tutor for this module. Just some housekeeping or rules that we work with when we are doing the virtual tutorials. When you join the session, please ensure that your video is switched off and your microphone is on mute. Also, what we need you to do, and that is very important for us, is that you need to complete the attendance register. We do post this in the chat, so please make sure that you've gone to the chat and completed the attendance register. We will also post in a link to the feedback form, which we require you to kindly complete just before you leave the session. Then any study support related queries, those are queries for tutorials, for academic literacies, for digital learning, for MyUnisa, any queries of that nature, please send them to ctntut@unisa.ac.za. I will put in that email address in the chat as well for you. Any queries regarding study material, assignment, due dates, stuff like that, you will need to send to capetown@unisa.ac.za because Gershon will not be able to answer those questions during your session. So just for you, that I need you to also be aware of is if you join as a guest. For example, I can see as Zuki that has joined as a guest.
Hello, Bronwyn.
Hi, Gershon. Hello, Gershon. Sorry, we're just having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but just while we are waiting for Gershon, let me continue. If you are joining as a guest, you will need to please ensure that that you're going to join via the MyUnisa portal. We do have a Western Cape regional portal, so you will need to join via that portal in order to have access to the recordings and the notes. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Gershon to continue. Good afternoon, students. Can somebody just indicate if you can hear me? Thank you. Sorry, my speaker has been giving a bit of problems. I have been, did you hear my introduction previously? Did you hear me introduce the presentation earlier?
Yes, we did. Thank you.
You did. Okay, great. Gershon's just having to reboot his machine. He also seems to be having a bit of problems. So please just be patient with us. I'm going to, in the meantime, paste in all the links into the chat while he's busy sorting out that issue. And then we can continue. We do apologize about the delay, but you know, going live and online and all these things, and it's a new start, we do have a little bit of hiccups. So let's just get those links out of the way.
Bronwyn,
So that
I'm here now. I can hear you.
Perfect. Thanks, Gershon. Okay, I'm going to paste in the link so the students can complete the attendance register. I will also paste in the link where you can go and join the Western Cape region portal, and the links where you can get the notes, the recordings, etc., as well as the feedback form. So without wasting any further time, do enjoy your class. Thanks, Gershon.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Let me just put this, really apologies about that. So I'm sure Maria Brown's mentioned, please just switch off your phone or video. Let me just switch my video on. I'm sure most of you have actually seen me in the ECS1601 class, but if you don't remember me, this is my ugly mug. It is honestly, this is the first time I'm actually presenting or doing classes like this via this medium. So it is really, I'm used to standing in front of a class, so this is quite weird for me because normally I like to stand and talk. So yeah, please just bear with me. So yes, I'm going to take, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch my video off. And if I do maybe need to explain something with my hands or in terms of the graphs, then I'll do that. But essentially what I'm going to do now is, there's just a few little house rules. Let me go through that quickly for you. Let me just share my screen with you. Yeah, so please just mute the microphone. Like Bronwyn said, we're just going to include that attendance register and of course just a feedback form in there. And then in terms of the schedule, let me just go through that. Apologies for that. Okay? So can you all see that? If you mind just using the chat over here, I've got my phone on the side, so I can actually see what you're typing over there.
The Gershon is just a little bit small. If you can just zoom in a little bit, will help.
Okay.
Or close the navigation pane.
Is that cool? Thank you, Lizzie.
Yes, that's much better.
So essentially, for ECS1601, the first class is going to be around production, income, and spending in the mixed economy as well as your monetary sector. Okay. So some of the key learning objectives is going to be about understanding what your three major flows are in the economy. Okay, that's of course your production, your income, and your spending. And then also basically knowing what a stock and a flow variables are, distinguishing between the four factors of production. Okay. And yes, so what is that? Capital, it's labor, it's entrepreneurship. There's also a fifth one called technology. And then, yeah, so I'll speak to that a little bit later again. And then also to know more about households and firms, to distinguish between the goods and the factor market, as well as explain the interaction between households and firms, to know the functions of money, in other words, M1, M2, and of course, M3 being your most comprehensive form. And then what does the supply of money means? Okay, what does the demand of money means? Essentially, what you're trying to boil down to over here is what is the equilibrium in the money market? What does the change in that equilibrium actually mean? So those are the key factors. Essentially, in terms of your exam, sorry, in terms of your exam, most of these questions are going to be essentially multiple choice questions. Okay. The next class is going to be looking at your session 2 is going to be looking at monetary policy, fiscal policy, and measuring the performance of the economy. But I don't want you to stress, okay? Essentially, with all of these, all the different sections, we're going to take it at our own pace. But of course, you are going to be, we will be preparing you to get you used to or be prepared for the exam, okay? A lot of people do struggle a little bit with the monetary policy and the fiscal policy, because in terms of the combination between the two, because the people use words like expansionary and contractionary. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, what is that? What do you mean by that? So in your mind, just think about when you hear expansionary, just think about stimulating something, okay? Or growing that thing. You know, I'm just looking at this, seeing if anybody's having any chats over here. This guys must really excuse me. I look young, but I'm very old in terms of technology. Bronwyn's been very, very nice to me in terms of assisting me with this. So I'm really, really struggling. But besides that, yeah. So just coming back, yeah, to the monetary policy and the fiscal policy. Yeah, so don't stress about those words. In terms of, it is quite important, as well as the foreign sector. Okay, I'm just going to do a brief run through all of these things over here in terms of the tutorial schedule, so you guys know where to give a focus. Also, I'm also going to give you a small little breakdown in terms of how the structure of the exam is going to look and where your mark allocation is going to come from. Okay. So yes, in terms of monetary policy, fiscal policy is very, very important. Measuring the performance economy, there is some calculations over there, okay? So of course you need to know how to work this out. And then in terms of the foreign sector over there, we're talking about what is absolute advantage and relative advantage, okay? You distinguish between the current account and the financial account. Yeah, so a lot of people get stuck within that tutorial is when you start talking about your foreign exchange, okay? When we're talking, can everybody hear me? I'm getting some playback over here. I'm assuming it's fine. I'm not getting any messages over here.
And fine.
Okay, sure thing. And then after that, we're going to be looking at the simple Keynesian model. So this is where, with the simple Keynesian model and the extended Keynesian model, is where a lot of people actually really get worried. So essentially what it means or what it entails is you're looking at a model of the economy, right? In the simple Keynesian model, we'd be first including the government sector, okay? And then, yeah, so I'm including the consumption, then investment. And then once we come to the extended Keynesian model, that is where we include in the government and the financial sector, okay? Then after that, we go to the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model. So essentially in the first simple Keynesian as well, we just highlight the simple Keynesian model, as well as the extended Keynesian model. Here you're looking at a model of the economy with certain assumptions, okay? And when you move over to session 6, we will be looking at the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model. You're relaxing some of those assumptions that you had previously. In other words, you're actually opening up the model now, okay? And then after that, in session 7 over there, we'll be looking at unemployment and economic growth as well as your business cycles. Thank you. And what's okay? So I'm going to focus on production, income, and spending in the mixed economy, and of course your monetary sector. But the thing is, for the first tutorial, I like to take things a little bit slow, and just to get you used to some of the terminology, certain words I'm going to be using. Okay, of course, you've gone through the ECS1601, but being in mind that that is more of the microeconomics. So it's looking at the behavior of your firms, your households, Okay, what does a household consumer? It consists of your consumers. Whereas this course over here deals with macroeconomics. So macroeconomics is, of course, now your whole economy. It's your aggregate economy. Deals with inflation, unemployment, economic growth, your GDP stuff. Okay. I don't know if any of you have been watching the news today and you saw, the quarter two GDP numbers came through, and we, on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the economy contracted. And when I say contracted, I'm meaning it declined by minus 51%. So I mean that is huge. Some other comparable countries, one of my colleagues shared with me, they maybe went down by -9, -7%. So those are extremely huge numbers. I'm just going to move over to one of the other slides. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm just going to go to one of my other slides. Can everybody see this?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you. So as I mentioned to you earlier, I will be talking about the three major flows in the economy. And that's production, income, and spending. Can somebody just mute their phone, please? Thank you. So what are the four major participants in the economy? Okay, consists of households or consumers. When anybody ever talks about a household, you know immediately at your consumer. Okay, so a consumer is the owner of the factors of production. When I'm talking about factors of production, what am I talking about? It's your labor, your capital, your natural resources, your entrepreneurship, and your technology. So what am I going to get? What am I going to get remunerated for? In terms of labor, it's your salaries over here. In terms of capital, it's your interest. In terms of natural resources, which is basically your land, okay? That's going to be an economic rent, or most times people like to say rents. In terms of entrepreneurship, it's your profits. So most times people like to ask this question as a multiple choice MCQ, okay? So once again, what's your four major participants in the economy? It's households, it's your firms, it's the government, and the foreign sector. So when people talk about the foreign sector, what are they talking about? It's about
Sorry, it's blank. We can't see anything.
Okay, sorry about that.
We can see now, Gershon.
It's just updating on my side now. So while my computer screen, then I'll just present from my phone. Yeah, so when people are talking about the foreign sector, essentially what we're saying is that, you know, it's exporting firms, you're actually importing as well. Okay, so when I'm exporting, I'm actually taking my goods and services from South Africa and I'm selling it overseas. When I'm importing, I'm buying something from overseas. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. What are the major flows in the economy? It's total production. I've mentioned this already. And in terms of production, what do we mean? Essentially, what you think when you hear the word production, just think about production of you producing goods and services. Okay. So essentially, when production creates income, and this income is spent to purchase products. So what we're doing over here is this is the circular flow of goods and services. Okay. Then, but I'm giving an introduction to these to it now. But essentially, what it's going to boil down to is the circular flow of goods and services, which moves in a clockwise direction. And then eventually, I'm going to be talking about the circular flow of income and spending. Okay. So with that, that's in an anti-clockwise direction. My system is still not updating on my computer screen over here. I can see it on my phone. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the three major flows of the economy is production, income, and then spending. Okay. The key thing to note is that all of these things, production, the income, the spending, is all happening at the same time. Please focus on those red blue words of this. So production of goods and services generates income, right? That is earned by the various factors of production. Remember what I said earlier in terms of factors of production? It is your labor, it is your capital, it's entrepreneurship, as well as your natural resources, and of course the fifth one is technology. So part of all of this income is spent by available goods and services. And the key thing over here is in the introduction, when I told you about the keep the goal of the first session was to understand what a stock or flow variable is. Production, income, and spending are all flow. I go through the section. So what is a flow? Flow is measured over time, year. Flows also have a time. But yet, obviously, some that go through very, very. What about guys? But this,
Can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
We can't hear anything.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for that. So what I was saying is, and you guys can see the stocks and flows over there. Eh? So what I was saying earlier on, just to repeat myself, the key idea is some of these slides over here, I'm just going to be introducing the concepts to you. Okay. Most of the time when I do ask this as an MCQ, pardon me, when they ask it as a multiple choice question, they might just ask you to give an example of what a stock is or a flow is, just to check your understanding. Okay, so it doesn't happen oftentimes, but now and again, yeah, you say am I still breaking up?
No, you're not.
Okay. So yes, just important, just key things to remember is that a flow has a time dimension, is measured over a period, okay? Whereas a stock is measured at a particular point in time. So for example, at 8 o'clock on today's date, the 8th of the 9th, okay? I'm going to move to the next slide. So now I'm going to come back again and I want to explain to you the interdependence. In other words, what is the relationship between a household and firms. So this slide is a bit busy, but I'm just going to focus on the key things over here just to get the point across through to you. Okay. So your households are, yes, in Tabasing, I will be sharing all of these slides. Every single thing that I present over here, I'm going to be sharing it with you. Also, another key thing that I haven't said to anybody yet, in the previous years, there has been some exams that I've actually worked through. So the students and myself, yeah, and I will be sharing it with you, just to help you and assist you whilst you're working through the stuff. Okay. So as I was saying, the households are the prime economic participants because they directly and indirectly own the factors of production. Okay. All of us know what a household is. Essentially, households are consumers. Okay. I did say previously that the household is the owner of the factors production. And what are they again? It's your labor, your capital, your entrepreneurship, your land, your natural resource, and your technology. So what are you going to get for your labor? You're going to get salaries or wages. What are you going to get for your capital? You're going to get interest. Okay. What are you going to get for the entrepreneurship? You're going to get your profits. And of course, now also for your, there's another one I forgot, is natural resources, which is your economic rents. Okay. So you probably heard now, you're wondering why is Gershon repeating himself all the time? Because a lot of times the people forget about the factors of production, and they do ask that as an MCQ. Okay. So your firms are also known as the businesses or the producers. They manufacture goods and provide your services. Okay. So your firms purchase the factors of production from the households. What did I say earlier? The households is the owners of the factors of production. The firms purchase the factors of production from the households in the factor market. Okay. Whereas there's also, so there's a factor market and there's also a good market. The good market is, of course, the market in which your goods and your services are traded and is made up of many smaller markets. Okay. So essentially, what I've introduced now, I've introduced concepts in terms of the households, your firms, and then also your factor as well as your good markets. Okay. So in terms of how do they actually operate? So I've put a small little diagram over here. And if I start at the bottom, you can see over there, this is households. Okay, I'm moving in a clockwise direction. So I'm moving from households to the factor market to the firms. Remember households, number 1 over here, moving to number 2 over there, and then number 3, then number 4, then number 5. This is the circular flow of goods and services. Okay, so the households are the owners of the factors of production, and they put it up for sale within the factor market. So who purchases that? Right? It's the firms. So you can follow it right at the bottom over here. Essentially, I'm just repeating exactly what I'm saying at the bottom over here. The households sell their factors of production in the factor market, right, to the firms. The firms then transform these factors into goods and services. What are those factors of production? It's your labor, right? It's your capital, it's entrepreneurship, as well as technology, and of course your land, your natural resources. Okay, via the goods market, and these goods and services are then sold to your households. Okay, so essentially that is your circular flow of goods and services. Now we're going to move over through to the circular flow of income and spending, and this is a bit more tricky. So we're going to go through it very slowly, but I am going to forward this through to everybody. Okay, so I'm just going to go out and just look for that quickly.
Am I the only one who can hear?
I think
No.
he's busy getting a slide for us.
Also can't hear.
No, I'm muted, then I unmuted again. My son was just coughing over here. I'm just trying to look for this one slide now. So what I'm going to show you now is the circular flow of income and spending. This is old 2016 slides that I had. Can everybody see it? Guys, is it good? Oh, wait to see, it's not loading yet. Let me try again. Here we go. Beautiful.
That's better.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience, eh? So as I mentioned to you earlier on, the circular flow of income and spending moves in the opposite direction of your circular flow of goods and services. Okay? Just follow the numbers over here. So now you see the firms on top, right? Start with the numbers. So it moves in, not in a clockwise, it's anti-clockwise. So it's moving from 1 to 2, which is to your left. Okay? So it's from firms, your factor market, your households, your goods market, and then back to the firms again. I hope you can see that. So what's going to happen, what's happening over at the bottom as well, on the far left-hand side on the bottom over there, you can see, okay, your number one, which is firms. Your firms is purchasing the factors of production in the factor market. What they do is the firms is going to buy labor. They're paying the labor salaries or wages, right? And then what they're doing is then, yeah, the purchasing their factors of production in the factor market. The firm spending represents the income of the households, and what I mean by that is now they're paying the households their salaries. Okay, the households then spend the income in the goods market to purchase goods and services. So where are we now? We're by the goods market by number 4 over there, right? The household spending represents the income of the firm. The household spending represents the income of the firm. Okay. I hope everybody's got that. Yeah. So now we're going to introduce on the right-hand side over here, we are going to be introducing the government. Okay. So now, yes, this is very involved. The key thing that I want you to take from this, because eventually, at the end of all of this, you need to understand the difference between an injection. Right? This is the circle of income and spending, and what's coming into the economy, what's going out of the economy. So that is what we're trying to build on. So what are we coming? Jonathan is saying the wrong screen, but it's I've seen it recently.
Hi, sorry for interrupting you. I can't hear anything and I can't do the chat. It doesn't want to activate.
Sorry, sir.
And
Oliver,
yes, sure.
what is the difference between this current slide, circular flow of income and spending, and the previous one that you've just recently showed us? Because
Okay.
5 was there by 1.1 and number 5 was there by household. Now I say it's there by firms. What's the difference?
Okay, I'll get back to that. But the previous lady that just spoke now, she said that she can't hear me. Can she hear me now?
Yes,
She
the
can't.
sound is better now. Thank you.
Apologies
Sound is
for that.
better.
Okay, and can you see the
Thank
screen?
you. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
sure. Is that Maxine?
It's Jane speaking.
Okay. And the previous question. So on the left, this one, the one on the left hand side, right, is the circular flow of income and spending. The previous slide before that, that was the circular flow of goods and services. So goods and services. We spoke about production, income, and spending, which is the three major flows in the economy: production, income, and spending. Okay, that's a circular flow of goods and services. Whereas this one over here is a circular flow of income and spending. Okay, that's the main difference. And with this one over here on the left hand side, it's anti-clockwise. So it's going from firms to factor market. In other words, it's moving left from firms to factor market to households to goods market. Right, moving from firms, factor market, households, goods market, and back to firms. Whereas the first circular flow of goods and goods and services moves in a clockwise direction. Okay, as you know, as your clock on your hand or in your house. I hope it makes sense. You can just
Thank
put in
you.
the chat.
Yes.
You can just maybe just mention in the chat next time, and I can instead of No, thanks. Good question.
I'm clear.
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Okay. So now the key thing over here, guys, the question that they're going to ask you in terms of production, income, and spending most of the time is going to be, what are the three major flows in the economy? And then you're going to put over the production, income, and spending. They're not going to, they might ask it as a multiple choice question. But the most of the time that you are going to get MCQs on is on the circular flow of income and spending. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier on, and I hope everybody's hearing me now, it's the key thing over here is about withdrawals, right? Stuff leaving the economy or injections coming into the economy. So as you can see over there, right? Let me first explain it. On the far the writing on the right hand side over there, you see taxes is a leakage or withdrawal from the circular flow of income and spending, right? Or circular flow of income between households and firms. So the key thing I want you to take from there was, as I said earlier on, a leakage or withdrawal, or you're going to hear the word injection. So I'm just saying this to you at the outset now already, to flag it with you. So once you hear it, you know exactly what I'm saying to you. Please pay attention to those words. I'm saying to you, please pay attention to whatever is a leakage or an injection, right? I'm going to say to you automatically now, government spending is an injection, right? And taxes is a leakage, okay? Because those are the things that's going to come up in your exam, and they do most, and of course in your assignments as well, okay? So I'm going to explain now, once we introduce the government into the circular flow of income and spending, okay? So government spending is an injection into the flow of income and spending, and the reason for this is, what is government spending? In terms of the Western Cape economy, the budget is now easily about 65 billion. That's provincial government. 70% of the budget comprises of hospital, not hospital, of health as well as education. Okay, those two biggest departments. That's 70%. So what are they building? They're building hospitals or they're building schools. So that is why I'm saying government spending is an injection into the flow of income and spending, because with them spending that money, they are putting money into the economy to build hospitals and to build schools. So who's actually going to tender for that? It's other businesses. It's in the private sector, and those people are going to tender for. They get the job. They're going to employ people, and that is going to get the economy ticking over. So it's going to be spurring on economic growth. Okay. That is why it's an injection into the circular flow of income and spending. Okay. In return, government provides households and firms with public goods and services such as defense, let's say law, education, health services. right? These services that I just spoke about now are financed mainly by government levying taxes on the income and expenditure of households and firms. Okay. Now that is why taxes is a leakage or a withdrawal. Leakage or withdrawal, basically, I'm saying to you, are synonyms. They mean exactly the same thing. Whenever you see a leakage or withdrawal, it's the same thing, right? From the circular flow of income and spending between households and firms, right? And the reason for that is, just think of yourself. When you're working and you're earning your salary, right? What does the government take off you? It takes off your salary. It takes taxes away from your salary, and that's your disposable income that you end up getting paid into your banking account. Okay, had it been no taxes being deducted, you could actually go and increase your expenditure. You could go buy more goods and services. Right, I'm going a bit more into detail about it, but just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. Is there any questions on this? I've been speaking now for about over an hour and a bit now. Is there any questions on this? Does everybody understand what a leakage or withdrawal is and what an injection is? I'm just looking at the chat.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we do understand. I understand. Thanks.
Okay, no, cool. And guys, please don't call me sir, eh? You are making me very old over here. No, you laugh. Please don't call me sir. I'm just Gershon. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Let me just go to the second slide. I see what I have to do now. First need to close that and open up the other one. So whilst I'm trying to organize this, right, and it's actually a prelude or it's a start of working towards a model of the economy. If I'm saying to you, what is an injection into an economy or what is a leakage, right? Then would you think investment is a leakage or a, and when I'm saying investment, I'm talking about firms now. The firms are actually investing in the economy. Would you think, and you guys can put that in the chat, just to spoil your thinking, just make you think a little bit about it. Is that a leakage, right? Might it been taken out of the economy, or is it injection? In other words, stimulate. It's there to stimulate economic activity. What would you think?
I'd say it's an injection.
It's an
Stimulate the
injection.
No, you're spot on. Spot on. Definitely, definitely. So, and would in terms of exports, and not looking at the screen over here, just thinking about this. Exports and imports. Remember I said exports. What's an export? If you use Wish or any other I think I forget the others. I think it was Jube or something to that effect. But I know a lot of people know Wish, right? Where you buy don't worry, I've made this mistake a few times where I buy stuff from overseas and it came here and the jacket was too small or it broke 2 weeks after I started using it. but if you buy something from overseas, right? Maybe should I maybe just switch on my video over here, okay? And it just tell me if I need to put it off again. So if you buy something from overseas and you in South Africa and you exporting something, okay? You are selling it, you local manufacturer, you exporting a product, and around about 54% of the Western Cape's, or let me say, rather say, total South Africa's exports agriculture exports comes from the Western Cape. So normally our markets are in the UK, Germany, right, and of course within Africa as well. But besides that, 54% of SA's total agricultural products comes from the Western Cape. Let's say, example, lemons or oranges, right? We are selling to an overseas company. What are they going to pay us? They're going to pay us in foreign exchange. Okay. So do you think that is a leakage or an injection into the South African economy?
Injection.
An injection.
I'm hearing the same voice, but you're right, but I'm hearing the
Injection.
same.
Injection.
It's an injection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an injection. Actually.
So similarly, if you're importing, right, and in terms of the South African economy, we are net importers of intermediate goods. Okay, so we import, yeah, intermediate goods. I'll explain again, but can somebody just mute the phone again?
My glasses.
We all good? So as I was saying earlier on, we are net importers of intermediate goods. But in the case of South Africa, yeah, I'll explain that concept a little bit later, but also oil, okay? So essentially what's happening is we are buying goods from overseas, so then we need to pay that people in rands. So the rands is basically leaving the country, and that is why that is a leakage, okay? So in terms of explaining this over here, do all of you understand exactly what I was saying now? Because then I don't need to actually go into detail or repeat exactly what is said on the sheets over here.
Yes.
Hey guys?
Yes, it was very clear. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. And guys, don't be shy, eh? Use the chat. If you don't understand, then I'll just go through it very quickly again. Then I'm going to move over to the next one, eh? Can I go ahead to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, you may proceed.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
No, sir, only Oliver.
Okay, so now I'm going to be introducing your financial institutions. So when I'm talking about financial institutions, what am I talking about? It's your old mutuals, your ABSAs. So these are essentially people or firms sitting with surplus funds, and they want to borrow their bucks. They want to assist people, firms that actually want to expand their businesses. Okay, I'm going to switch my camera off now. So households and firms who do not spend all the income save some of the income, right? The decision to save is a decision not to consume. So hearing that, do you think saving is a leakage or a leakage or an injection? Households and firms who do not spend all of the income save some of the income. The decision to save, right, is a decision not to consume. I'm saying by actually using the words consume or consumption, right? Consumption is buying goods and services.
I think it's a leakage.
Yes. Saving is a leakage, whereas consumption or consuming is you actually buying goods and services. So it is an injection into the circular flow of goods, of income and spending. Okay.
I need you to repeat that, please.
No, sure. Okay. So just if you had to look at the diagram over here, okay, and I'll start from the beginning again. When I'm talking about financial institutions, I'm talking about your own mutual, I'm talking about your ABSA, I'm talking about banks. Okay, so they normally have surplus funds that they want to make available through to, and I think sorry, I apologize. I'm just realizing I didn't explain this very nicely earlier. So the ABSAs of the world want to make surplus funds available to people to borrow. Okay, I'm Gershon. I want to expand my business. What am I going to do? I'm going to go approach ABSA for whatever. Let's call it a loan because I want to expand my business. I want to buy more machinery, right? So now, with me going to utilize that money, what am I doing? I'm pumping that money back into the economy because I'm expanding my business, and that's when I start talking about investment over there. Investment is an injection into the economy. Okay, so that little example, I'm talking about investment. Okay, whereas now I want you to pay your attention to saving and consumption. Okay, leave the consumption bit, but just pay your attention with the saving. Okay, so that second bullet over there is households and firms who do not spend all of the income save some of the income. Right, with you saving your income, you're not consuming. Right, and that is why saving is a withdrawal or a leakage out of the circular flow of income and spending. Does that make more sense?
Yes, thanks.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So on the far right hand side, what I've done is that is just a small graphic. I know it's quite busy, but if you pay your attention, okay, and I'm gonna explain to each little bit over here. Can you see my cursor, the mouse cursor?
Yes.
Oh, you can see it. Okay, awesome. So investing in capital goods, land, etc. is later in economic stimulants are definitely injection. MJ.
Yes, sir.
MJ. Thanks, sir. So yes, got firms on the top over here, right? You got households. Can somebody just MJ, can you just mute yourself again, please? You muted, eh? It's MG Jones.
I'm listening.
Just mute yourself. Can you just mute yourself, please?
Sorry.
No problem. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, you've got your firms on the top over here, the households, financial sector in the middle. You've got your government on the right-hand side and foreign sector. So in sequence, as we start in the beginning, right, we first had the government join the circular flow of income and spending. The T denotes taxes. Your G is your government spending. As you can see, your minus and your plus over here. Okay. So you tax your households, and this is the arrow of the direction of the arrow is showing you where it's actually going to. So households is paying the government taxes, and that is why it's leaving the circular flow of income and spending, right? That's why T has a minus over here. Similarly, government spending, right? The government building hospitals, they're building schools. Who's going to tender for that is businesses. Businesses are then going to take over the economy and they're going to employ more people. That is why government spending has a plus. It's an injection into the circle of income and spending. Now on the inside over here, we've got the financial sector. Okay, your households are saving part of their income. They are not, and who they saving it with? They're saving it with the ABSAs. They may be putting some of their money into asset managers, into money market funds, okay, unit trusts, right? because they're saving part of an income. Whatever they're saving, they're not consuming. That's why saving is a withdrawal or a leakage out of the circular flow of income and spending, right? Similarly, the financial sector is making available loans through to businesses. That's going to firms. What are firms doing? Firms are going to expand their businesses. They are going to buy capital goods, right? Machinery, equipment. And then they are going to, which means all of them growing, they're going to employ more people. Okay? That's why the I, which denotes investment, has a plus. It's an injection into the circular flow of income and spending. All right? Here's your savings again. So who's saving? Is firms as well as your households. Sorry. And then on the foreign sector side over here, your X denotes exports, and then your Z is your imports. Okay, so your imports is essentially going as firms or households buying goods overseas, and that rands is leaving the country because it's going to foreign companies overseas. For example, your Wish, right? Yeah, and then your export. I did explain this earlier to you. And then at the bottom over here, it's a small little things like a small bullets. Yeah, that's just giving you all of the what it actually sees for consumption is for saving. So I hope that all of that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
And MG saying he loves the slide. Like I said, guys, I will be making all of this available. Yes. Is there any other questions from anybody?
Hello?
Yes, is there any
Hello?
questions from anybody? Can you hear me?
Yes, I've got a question. Ne? Can I take you back a bit to saving? Ne? I just want to find out, let's say for instance, mainly people who are working for the government, they contribute towards the government employees pension fund. Ne? So and the very same fund is being utilized for investments or bailing out some state institutions or whatever. So I just want to understand how do we treat that? Do we consider that as a saving in the economy, or is it a leakage? I'm not sure if my question is I'm not sure if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I didn't, because I was having technical difficulties. I didn't do a proper introduction of myself this evening. So I actually work in government. I've been working for close to 10 years in government, and it's a good question. So essentially, what happens is all of our taxes, right, is government revenue. Okay.
Yes.
So essentially, what happens is us as households, we pay tax.
Yes.
Businesses pay tax. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you just ask the question, then just mute yourself, and then if I don't answer that, you can just say I have a follow-up question. Then I'll respond to that as well, just so that there's no interruption in terms of. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So what I'm saying is that so yes, your taxes is from yourselves as well as businesses. Okay. And that is the government's purse. So that's their budget. When the government's budget, when they utilize that to bail out the struggling SOEs, the state-owned enterprises, what the negative that is that other conflicting government priorities is not going to get paid, is not going to get the appropriate amount of resources, the amount of money. So say, for example, there was another school that needed to be built. That school is not going to get built. If we needed to do another catalytic infrastructure project, let's say, for example, because now the quickest way in economic recovery, right, to get the economy moving is through very important catalytic infrastructure projects. What I mean by that is, let me maybe use an example, a silly example like Saldanha Bay IDZ, right? Get that stuff spurring, investors are coming in. You're doing all the right things to make it easier for them to do business. People talk about the ease of doing business, reducing red tape. We're busy at the moment with the economic recovery plan for the Western Cape. So that's been taking us since the beginning of with this lockdown and with everything else, and we've been working on that. So now people are talking about how do we just try and retain all of those jobs or get back those jobs we lost within tourism, within construction, within the informal sector, right? That is, yes, you're going to need to do a lot of different things, but what a key message that I'm trying to answer your question directly is that you, with money going elsewhere, it does not going at times to the correct places, or if it is going to the correct place, not enough is going there because your purse is smaller, because you're bailing out struggling state-owned enterprises like ISCON, like SAA. Okay, Jeff, does it answer? You're happy with that? Was there any follow-up question?
No, actually, my question was with regards to the pensions, the government pensions. The government pensions, do we consider that a leakage, or do we consider that as an injection? That was the question.
In terms of saving,
yes. Because remember they paid over to, yes, okay.
You see,
so I just want to
jump,
understand.
Okay, I don't want to jump also because I don't want to confuse you. But the quickest way I can answer that for you is that the save in this current format or form, that saving would be a leakage, right? But understanding. But there's a limitation, or I need to say this to you, right? South Africa's savings rate is already very low compared to international benchmarks or best practice, which is a bad thing. Because if your savings rate is very high, right, then it's actually, in a way, it's actually good, but that is why that's second and third year. So I don't want to confuse you, but I just want to say to everybody, guys, in this very basic, in terms of circular flow of income and spending, that saving would be a leakage. But once we come, remember, as we carry on with this course, okay, we're gonna start relaxing things. There's certain assumptions that you're making, and then you're gonna come closer and closer. Let me just put the video on, so, because I like to talk with my hands, but then also to emphasize certain things to you. Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, the circular flow of income and spending is a basic start of the economy. But as we're moving on and on and on, we start relaxing certain assumptions, and it gets closer to what a real economy is. Okay. But for a means of simplicity at this moment, right now, I'm going to say to you it is a leakage. Okay. And as you guys know from ECS1601, there's at times I'm going to say to you, with everything else being equal, the ceteris paribus, right? And I'm not swearing at anybody. People just need to remember that word. Okay. So normally whenever you start, when you say ceteris paribus, everything else being equal, right? It is a leakage. Okay. But if I had to give you a bit of because there's some of you guys is maybe going to take this a bit further, what I will say to you is that so Africa's savings rate is very low compared to its over the international peers or peer economies. Okay. Now you need you need a beautiful savings rate, because that helps you to for those individuals, the firms, the households, to invest their money. be it in businesses, be it into the economy. Okay, and we don't have that. And I mean, it's for various reasons, but I'm not going to go into those reasons. I think all of us know those reasons. Okay, so I hope you're happy with that answer.
Yeah, no, I get it now. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? And these guys are welcome to put it into the chat as well. Has Bronwyn left or she's still there?
Can I ask you a question that's off topic? Not off
No
topic,
problem.
but not. I saw today that the repo rate is the lowest that it's been in a long time.
Yes.
Is that true?
100%.
So what does that mean? What does that mean for us in the economy?
Well, what it means is, I'm just looking.
Sorry if it's going to take your time. It's fine.
No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. I'm just looking at the questions over here, and maybe just need to. Has everybody signed the attendance register? Hey guys.
Yes.
So everybody signed the attendance register. Awesome. In terms of the repo rate, it is the lowest it's ever been, and the reason for that is because if the repurchase rate is, let's say for example, it's 4%, 3.75, right? That is the rate that the commercial banks is borrowing their money from the Reserve Bank, the South African Reserve Bank, or which is guys here, the SARB, SARB. Okay. Now, who borrows from commercial banks? It's you and I. What do we borrow? We normally borrow money to buy a house, to buy a car, right? And if you are borrowing at a lower rate for your car or for your bond, that means that you have more disposable income. So what are you going to do with that disposable income, right? You're going to initially go and buy some more goods and services. Yeah. So with you being able to have more money in your account, hopefully the idea what it's not only just you, it's me, you, it's all of us that's over here, and it's actually a whole of South Africa. So what the government is trying to do is actually trying to stimulate the economy. And the repo rate is the vehicle, that's fiscal policy, okay? Government expenditure and taxation. I did say to you guys in the next class, we will talk about the monetary sector, but that's part of fiscal policy. When people talk about the repurchase rate. Okay? So that's expansionary fiscal policy, is to reduce the repurchase rate so that you actually have more money within the economy, and you're wanting to stimulate the economy. Okay.
So they are doing that so we can. So they are doing that so we can build the economy again after the COVID.
That's the idea. That's 100%.
Okay. No, thank you so much for that.
No, it's a pleasure.
Appreciate.
Wait, I made a mistake there because I haven't had a sip of my tea here. That is actually a monetary policy.
Yeah, that's I think fiscal is the government policies. Okay.
Government expenditure and taxation.
Yeah.
When they increase government expenditure and they reduce your taxes, whereas monetary policy is when they increase or decrease your repurchase rate, or they increase or decrease your money supply. Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. And I see some more questions are coming through now. Sanjiswa and Anda is asking for the link. And Bozo as well. I'm going to re-put that in the side over here. Guys, I'm just going to mute myself quickly, whilst I'm doing this. I'm just putting the feedback form over here. Thank you very much for all of your. Can all of you guys hear me? I'm going to take some hands now because I see we've got 15 minutes left. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, can.
I see Jonathan. Jonathan, I see your hand first.
Hi, thanks a lot. So just got a question following on from the repo rate. Basically, if the whole idea of the policy is to get the commercial banks to reduce their rates, why are South African banks still around 7-8% for consumer lending? And does that mean that the Reserve Bank hasn't forced the banks to reduce their lending rates enough by changing liquidity and that kind of stuff, or liquidity requirements, to get them closer to 3.5%? Because they're still like 5% above. So my question is, like, if you go overseas, you'll find the lending rates are 1% over prime, but in South Africa they're like 5% over prime. So the banks,
it's normally 3.5, 3.5, 4.
Is it?
It's normally 3.5.
So like if I go to my bank in New Zealand, I'm gonna get 1% over the prime rate. But why are South African banks still making so much money over the repo rate?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It's the reason for that is because of our inflation. During this time, inflation's been averaging around about 4%. So normally, what's the repo rate at the moment? I think it's 3.5 or 3.75. So normally the prime lending rate's going to be 3.5 or 4%, 3.5% more. It's just to factor in that inflation, because if you look at inflation rates overseas, what are they? 1%, maybe 2, maybe less than 1. So it's just to factor that in. Okay.
I understand. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions? Are we all good? I do realize that we haven't looked at the monetary sector yet. Just before we go, I do want to show you an example of an old exam that I've always worked through with the students. Let me just close some stuff over here. Stop sharing. And this is the key thing that I want you to take from as it relates to the monetary sector. Oh, this is the wrong one. Let me just close it again. Sorry, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I still need to see how to mute because I had some bad backpair over there now. But this is the paper I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Is it playing on your side?
Can you make it bigger?
I'll try. Here we go. So the question reads as follows. Use a diagram to explain how a decrease in the interest rate will affect the quantity of money demanded in the money market. Okay. So they either say, use a diagram to explain how a decrease or increase in the interest rate will affect the quantity of money demanded in the money market. That's two different questions, right? Note a decrease or an increase in the interest rate. Right? Or they might say to you, use a diagram to explain how an increase or a decrease in national income will affect the quantity of money demanded in the money market. Okay, so here's the answer over here. This is what I meant when I said, and I will be sharing this with you. So I'm going to leave. I'm not going to speak to it now. I know you're very tired, but I just wanted to show you. So I'm sure you guys have gone through some of the exams. And the initial part, the section A, is your compulsory essay question, right? Then you're going to have a section where you need to draw. Now, I'm sure you've realized by now already that none of the assignments, you actually need to draw anything. All of them are MCQs. So please do yourself a favor and actually start practicing how to draw the stuff. Because you're going to do yourself a disfavor if you're not going to actually try and do that now already. Okay, because the assignments is not going to help you to prepare for that. You're going to need to do it by yourself. Okay. So yes, and then of course there's some list questions, some more drawing. Now don't get nervous about this over here. We will work through that. Okay. And then of course, yeah, at the end, this agri supply, aggregate demand. And this is about cost push inflation. And of course, at the end, where we start, I'm paging through this very quickly just to give you an idea. And then, of course, you're going to come to section B, where it's your MCQs. Okay. As you can see over here, which of the following statements is correct regarding the factor markets? So remember, I said earlier on, I was placing a hell of a lot of emphasis on your factors of production. Okay. But anyway, guys, I think let's stop over here. In terms of the next class, I will be going through the monetary sector. Okay, I will be making that available we'll be making that available to you. And then, yeah, we'll be doing the monetary sector, and then I'll be looking at the monetary policy as well. Okay, I think maybe we will go a little bit into fiscal policy as well. But let's see, I don't want to rush things. Let's rather explain and work through things nicely and get a feel for things, and then pose questions if you don't understand. Okay. Last little thing, as everybody filled in the attendance register, I wanted to say to you, thank you guys. I must say I did struggle a bit. This is still new to me, and I'm very, very used to teaching Oriya on the board and sitting and explaining and drawing things. Yeah, so this is a different dynamic, but you know, we have to learn. We need to adapt and be resilient. But thank you to anybody. If there isn't any other questions, I just want to check the chat. Yeah. And Taba Singh said, you said we should have 3 major flows: goods and services. And Taba Singh, Mazabuko, the 3 major flows is production, income, and spending. Production, income, and spending. Okay.
Thank you.
And I see Lauren answered it over there. Sorry, Lauren, I didn't see your answer. Thanks, guys. If there isn't any other questions, let me just see if I've captured everybody over here. If there's nothing else, guys, then we can close off this evening. Yeah. Are we all good?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. That was very
Thank you
quick.
very much for your thank you very much for your patience, eh? I really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.